Dr. Randall, the Soul Doctor, author of Soul Doctoring, Heal Yourself, Heal the Planet, shares her 40 years of experience as a cross-cultural practitioner, medical futurist, and expert in 20 different modalities of healing, along with amazing interviews with some of the leading minds in medicine and big thinkers in all walks of life. The stories of our lives are the woven energies of our soul's paths. They feed and ignite the spiritual light that nourishes the universal soul, the one mind, the cosmic consciousness where we all come together. This podcast is going to be a deep dive into the personal stories of people who have made significant contributions to the planet. What formed them? What moved them to become these leaders and innovators that inspire us so? Good morning, Justin.
Hello.
Or it's morning here. Where are you?
I'm 2 hours later than you, 2 hours in the future, so it's afternoon here.
Okay. Where are you exactly?
Chicago area.
Chicago. That's right above where I come from, where I hearken from, Omaha, Nebraska.
I was just watching a documentary on Warren Buffett.
Oh, yeah.
And it's fascinating because, he's a genius. He's a genius in financials, and he spends a lot of time reading. I spend a lot of time reading. And then his wife her first wife was a stabilizing human, empathetic, and my wife's a pediatrician, stabilizing, empathetic human. And one time, wife, she couldn't get out of bed. She was too sick to get out of bed, and she was about to throw up. And she's like, "Hey, Warren, you got to get me a pan." So he goes downstairs and he's rattling these bang bang, because he can't. He's incapable of physical stuff like that. And so he brought her up a strainer. And she's like, "I'm gonna go throw up through it." So he's, "Oh, okay, go back downstairs, bang the pans." But he comes back up and he took a cookie sheet and put the strainer over it, and he goes, "Here."
Oh my goodness!
That's what I mean,
he's not. He actually needs me. He's not too smart about health either choices. He eats hamburgers with
McDonald's
with Bill Gates. That's his favorite food. And my dad knew him. My dad created the idea of group insurance, which is pretty amazing back then. And he laid the foundation for Mutual Omaha to have the first group insurance basically on the planet.
It's interesting. I'm a simplifier, and I see patterns. That's how my brain works. I don't know why it works like that. It just does. But I have found people like us many times, not always, certainly, but many times, at least one of their parents was a very high performing entrepreneur, intrapreneur, some type of genius. And then kids grew up in that, like Warren Buffett's dad was a congressman. I didn't know that until watching the documentary, actually. And then, so then they learn that as children, they see it, and then they, almost without exception, they rebel and they create their own thing. So it's an interest. And then, so best part of being an entrepreneur is my kids, they're 7 and 9. They're both boys, and they can see that this world even exists. Most people don't know this world exists, and then they can do whatever they want with it and rebel. I'm excited for them to rebel. Do whatever they want with it. So
they will.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. Yeah, I don't want them not to rebel. I do want them to rebel.
Yeah, for sure. And then, my mom was the compassionate, empathetic one.
Yeah, so usually visionary wackadoos, not always, but they marry stabilizing humans. Not always, but many times. And it's been my wife and I have been married since 2008. We met the day before she started medical school. And both of my books, I love these longer acknowledgments or whatever. My entire acknowledgement for both of them is to my wife.
That's nice.
Well, without her, that would be a bad situation.
It's not happening. The formula is not happening. Yeah.
There's no formula. MC gone.
Yeah. So, well, you've been a journalist for many years, I understand. And what form did that take initially?
Yep. So I was born with a story. I was listening to an interview with Shalom Klein. It's a really good interview. And then, sitting with old people. You were talking about that, right? Sitting with old people can learn a lot. So my dad was 61 when I was born. He'd be 106 if he was alive. And my mom, 27 when I was born. And so she was out. My mom's an incredible hustler in a good way. I mean, her drive is amazing. But so as children, my mom was out working. And then my dad was, he was, I guess, retired. So I was learning a lot from him. And so I was just born with a story. I'm an entrepreneur who happens to be a journalist. And then so he was a World War II hero. He was shot down 8 or 9 times in combat, many times without a parachute, just got back in the plane. And then after he died when I was 13, and then after he died, I found his diary that he had written from the Battle of the Hurtgen Forest, which was a very deadly battle towards the end of World War II. I'm a pretty good writer. His diary is one of the best things ever written. I mean, what he survived. And so that's my litmus test. And I write exactly like he does, just boom, 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 boom. And then.
So when did you get into it? When did you get into journalism?
Well, that's what I mean. I was like, my whole life.
I know, but like officially.
I mean, yeah, you're interesting because you want, like, you're like me. You want, like, land the plane facts. What exactly do you mean? And by the way, I'm just like that too. No, because most of the people I talk to are visionaries.
Well, you're a lifelong storyteller, and that tells me something too.
I mean, like, so when my dad was in his late 50s, I will answer your question, I promise. But when my dad was in his late 50s, a drunk driver hit him head on. Drunk driver killed. Dad broke every bone in his body, survived. My mom was his nurse, so my mom literally saved his life, and so here I am. I mean, I'm just the product of that. I was just born with that. But so, when I was a child, I'd read the Chicago Tribune sitting on my dad's lap. Always been curious to talking to these super interesting, fascinating people. Was raised by an old person with endless wisdom who told me every day the cream rises to the top. So I only partner with the cream that rises to the top, or the ones that won't make an excuse, they'll just make an investment. So multiple billionaires who are partners. And then I think in 5 years as an entrepreneur, I think it's 7 people that have been dirt broke. They don't make an excuse, just make an investment, find a way. No, at this level, there are no excuses. No. You make the investment. Okay. So like officially becoming a journalist was high school, I guess. I mean, I was broadcasting for, we had a TV station there, which I'm very grateful for that. And then college, majored in journalism. So, but I've never understood if it bleeds, it leads. I don't understand negative news. I've never understood political stuff. It doesn't resonate with me. And as a journalist, they would just give me weird jobs to do because they didn't know what to do with me. And I was just writing about cool people changing the world. And then now with global PR firm, write about cool people changing the world. I mean, there's no.
Well, that's what I like to hear about. So that's great.
Right. So people like us are usually aliens within our own family, community, and verticals. Nobody understands us except top entrepreneurs in the world. So the beauty of that is once you find people like us, they just introduce you to more people like us because abundance. So
yeah, I would love that.
Right.
So you've also set up, you've set up this PR firm.
Yeah.
Called, do you do the letters or you call it BrEpic?
BrEpic, yeah. So that's amazing that you think like that. It's so rare. Most people say it wrong, which I think is funny because it doesn't really matter what it's called. It matters what the mindset is and what the company actually does and who it connects. But I love how you land the plane like very detailed with that. I think that's great. And then,
it's BrEpic Communications and Global Connectivity platform. Just those words.
2 of them. So BrEpic is the global PR firm, and then BrEpic Network is newest company. And I'm in Chicago, partners in San Francisco, person who built the platforms in Toronto. So that one's linked in without the BS. So it's invite only platform. It's just technology for my brain.
And then your second book, Epic Life, that's going to launch this summer.
Yeah, so Peter Diamandis wrote the foreword for that one. I mean,
I saw that on LinkedIn. That's cool.
Yeah, he's one of top entrepreneurs in the world. So I get bored unless I just like to collaborate with people like that because they're the ones changing the world, and then they'll make investment, take action to change the world. They
Yeah.
won't
Yeah, I
complain about
love that. Like Emran Meyer, who New York Times bestseller,
it. Yeah.
Mind Gut Connection, wrote my foreword in my book. So
Right. That's an interesting. We're very, with the books. I've never cared about like book sales or anything like that. What I've learned, what it is, the first book I wrote it came out in May of 2020, and then Chris Foster wrote Never Split the Difference, did the forward for that. Very grateful for that. And so I still do 2 to 3 media interviews for it every week.
nice.
Well, I mean, it's just within the unique ability.
So how do you get those? How do
Well, I
they?
run a global PR firm, and it's the purpose of my life is to be a connecting superhero for every
Mhm.
visionary, abundance, investment mindset entrepreneur and share their stories with the world. So I take action for myself, and then I've become a key. I didn't expect that, but hosts want to interview me first, and they want to interview all my partners. So I'm constantly in media, and then the hosts are like, "Wait, you partner with only people like that?" I go, "Yeah." So then they want to interview my partners.
Okay. Well,
The
you're
template.
hired. You're hired.
Right. So people like you, that's what happens. They don't ask,
Yeah.
what do you cost? And I mean, so I've been on, in 5 years, I've been on 8 shows where the host interviewed me and then signed with my firm. 8 shows where the host has interviewed me and then signed with my firm. I never expected that.
Mhm.
So podcasts are actually transactional and transformational platforms for entrepreneurs. So
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
one, they're hosted by an entrepreneur, not a journalist, so they're coming from a place of abundance. 2, you can do a deep dive on someone, uh,
Mhm.
so it's not a drive-by
I
interview.
I love that. That's my
Well,
favorite thing.
it's you, right? And then 3, the audience might not be as large quantity-wise, but it's a far more qualified audience. So a regular
Mhm.
human is probably not going to listen to this. Maybe they will, but uh, it's far more qualified. So I mean, I haven't done outbound sales or anything in years. I just provide value for people like you, and then they're like,
Mhm.
"Oh, let's go." So it's just solves that problem.
Exactly. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so are you saying the days of, like, I was in Forbes once,
Me
not
too.
not not by myself, but as
Right.
a a cooperating
Yep.
operator with this other guy that has this
Yep.
called Gray Matters, because I do the biochemistry for him and his thing. But that, and that was supposedly like a great big deal, but it was weird. I never really got anything from it. It
Right.
was like
Right.
nobody. I don't even think anybody read it. Actually, I didn't. Any.
So there's 2 things from that. There's 2 things. My firm's partners are in places like Forbes and Inc. and Entrepreneur and Wall Street Journal, and that's great. It's great. So most of that stuff now, which is fine, most of it is ego vanity. That's most of it.
Mhm.
So I've seen this from a firsthand and client perspective, because podcasts are replacing that in terms of relevance and importance. Now, what I will say is being in articles like that is good for validity and credibility. And then putting, it's featured in Forbes and stuff like that. But actually moving the needle, that's what, people like us understand that. It's like the business owner community, the ones that are leading with material measurements over meaningful ones, their world people, they care more about that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's fine. It's fine. I just seen it. I see how media is actually changing.
I agree with you. I was actually doing a podcast with a guy last week. And he's like one of the most well-known regenerative gardener farmers in England and Somerset. He started it back in the 60s before anybody ever thought about it, so he's one of those think outside the box guys.
Genius.
But and he asked me, because I kept kind of giving my message to him about getting the word out there that people would change, that this will change the world, what he's doing and stuff. And he was kind of on the other side. I'm more positive than he is. And he said, "Oh, really? Have you ever been in the New York Times? Are you in the New York Times? And then are you?" And I said, "You know what? I was in the New York I was in the New York Times. This will blow you away. In the 80s, as a young doctor, because I had invented, again, super outside the box, a cure for hemorrhoids." because nobody, number one, wants to talk about hemorrhoids. B, number two, I mean, have you ever gone to work and then somebody says, I have a really bad hemorrhoid? Never.
I don't know. I
Nobody
think
says it.
that is a joke.
No, I mean, they'll tell you they have a headache. They'll tell you they have anything else, but they won't tell you they have a hemorrhoid, which they could be dying from that thing. It could be killing them, but
Right.
they won't talk about it. So,
Right.
and the other thing is 80% of people at some point in their life have them.
Yeah.
So I'm going, well, that sounds like it's worth a deep dive. Let's fix that, you know? So I came up with a treatment for it, which was effective. It was like 80 to 90% effective.
Right.
The funny thing about it, it doesn't exist anymore.
Mm.
Why? Because it was a machine that was, expensive and easy to apply and didn't hurt the patient. But they've all reverted to rubber banding, which could be cheaper, but it hurts like hell, so go figure. But that's kind of interesting, isn't it?
Well, it's what I've learned in 5 years is, again, my greatest skill set is seeing these patterns and then doing something about it.
Uh-huh.
And I think you're very similar to that. Your brain really fascinates me. So the formula for creating a successful global company is very simple: is you see a problem, create solution, problem solve, successful global company. So I was by PR firms for 20 years, created a solution, solved it, successful global company. Annoyed by platforms that let everyone in, because at the highest level, people don't have time for that. Created a solution. I know that will be successful global company. It's the same formula. So all I hear over and over and over and over, I hear the same problem.
So we got to get you a copy of my book, because that's exactly what I did.
100. Yes, that doesn't surprise me in any capacity. So then I just hear we're tired of being best secret. We want to be in news, media, usually global level, to create more validity and credibility. And
thank you. Exactly. I've been beat up a lot on being the tip of the spear. I love it. I mean, that's my place. Mm-hmm. But I want to create a successful global company and ride on the spear.
Well, right. One, I'm grateful to hear that. I'm honored to hear that. People like us I've quantified maybe 0.1% of the population, maybe 0.1%, but that's okay, because the 0.1% is the one that creates everything that helps everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So I've exactly. Right. So, because talk to me is meaningless without taking action and investing. It's meaningless.
Right.
And then
right.
I will too, again, because it perfectly describes what you're doing. A book is the key that opens up endless doors. My first book, still do 2 to 3 media interviews every week. So that's great for me, but then for my PR partners, and then I partner with a lot of folks who have written books, because media just needs 2 things. One is a good story, which everyone has, what you've overcome in life, what inspires you, who your parents were. Everyone has that, they just don't know how to do it. And then 2 is a news peg. A news peg is, why is it a story now? So a book, I mean, that's easy. And then my second book, I've been doing media for that. It's not even out yet, but that doesn't matter, because it's just a key that opens up endless doors, even though it's not even out. It doesn't. Yeah. So.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to name any names, but I was, let's say, working with a guy, and I have pointed my whole self, my entire life, actually, 40 years of experience towards this time right now. And it's all here. It's all happened. The book has happened. My new YouTube channel has happened. My podcast is everything is happening. Okay. So I said to the guy, I said, okay, you're an expert marketer. And at the time I had hired the guy to be my publicist, which hasn't really, I'm my publicist. It hasn't really happened. And then I said to him, so what experience do you have in monetizing this now? Because it's time. It's all together, all the content, all the everything. I'm ready. How do we move now to monetize it? No answer. No answer. So I say the answer is Justin Breen.
Deer in the headlights. Well, so here is, I mean, talk is meaningless without action. And then I'm a living template for the people I serve. So I'm literally acting I'm the same which is surprising. I never expected to become someone like you, but I am, because I've created a second company and 2 books.
Mhm.
And I didn't, but I just do it. I just take action, make the
Tell me
investment.
about the second company.
Oh, it's LinkedIn without the BS. It's just a high price point invite only connectivity platform. So
Mhm.
partners in San Francisco, most of his day is doing 8, 9, and 10 figure deals.
Mhm.
And then we had a private wealth magazine. So, okay, most people care about revenue. I don't, but most people do. So they have 2,000 subscribers. Average revenue per subscriber is around 8 figures. So they did a huge story on my new company. Very grateful for that. And then anyway, the editor of that is Russ Allen Prince. So in the family office space, he's, top in the world. And then so he's like, oh, anytime you have PR partners, we'd love to do stories. I'm like, oh, okay, great. So I know that that article alone's worth way more than the investment to get.
Yeah, but you
Okay.
gotta care. You gotta care about finances to some degree. I know what you mean. I've never cared about finances. I just do what I know I have to do. But at some point, I feel it's time for me to focus, or get somebody that knows how to focus what I've created in that way so I can help more people.
Right. So so my brain here is blah 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 blah. Simplify into a 400-word, 500-word story that media cares about. And when I say media, people like us that have platforms or things like private wealth, and then immediate connect, intro, and then they do stories on it.
You
And
sound
then,
like a computer.
well, I am. I mean, I am. It's almost but it's a computer in the purpose of my life. And the reason why it sounds like a computer is
I'm
because,
just teasing you.
well,
Yeah.
it's true though. I mean,
Yeah.
I take that as a compliment because this is so easy for me and fun, and it's
Yeah.
the purpose of my life. Like I'm spending time with my family or doing this. I never get tired of it. It's endlessly fun. It's very lucrative.
I can tell. I can tell it's fun for you. And it's just like what I do is fun for me.
100%. You're just in the purpose of your life, and then it's just collaborative because people like you, I kind of someone like you. I mean, you're a full visionary. You're an entrepreneur who happens to be in healthcare. I'm an entrepreneur who happens to be a journalist. You're full visionary, and I've kind of become someone like you, but true visionaries, they have a real hard time simplifying their message because they're endless ideas, and then my brain can simplify it and then immediately activate and make those connections. And then people like you talk to other people like you and then leverage those relationships to create partnerships, new companies. I don't know, whatever you do with that.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, actually, I guess coming to this point where finally, it came into a book form and
Right.
passing the wisdom that way did allow me to simplify it,
So I can take your simplification and simplify it further and then simplify that message of the book and your life story into a 400, 500 word story that media top people want to interview you for.
Yeah.
And then immediately connect.
Well, the first third of the book is my story.
There you go. So, yeah. So
the second third is my story, but it also involves my patients, and the things I learned from them, which created the self-healing. And the last part is what we're all facing, which is the climate challenge and the the biggest healthcare crisis we've ever faced.
So
So I'm not shy.
Well, but so it's people like you that will see the problem, create solution, problem solve. You'll do it. You'll you'll actually invest, take action, and
but see now that I have the storyline, or what is the path, it actually has to be done. People say, well, aren't you happy? Or you manifested your vision. I go, this is just the beginning.
100%. Talk is meaningless without action. It's meaningless.
Exactly. And now invest, make it happen.
Yeah. So we were separated at birth. It's interesting. My father was 61 when I was born. He was born in 1916, which may have been before your dad was born. Is that
I don't
correct?
think so. No, I'm much older than you.
Well, correct, but I should be. I should is a word I don't like to use, but like I have like an old soul wisdom because I
No,
was raised
you do, but but there's still a number of years we have on you.
that is true.
I
And
mean, my dad was in World War II. That's true.
was he in Europe or Japan area?
He
Was
was both in both.
he in
He
Korea?
was he was 6'8", so they moved him around a lot.
Wow.
Yeah,
Are
well,
you
I'm 5'11".
wow? 6'8" soldier. Wow.
I know. Well, at first they had 4F'd him, and then like he's like, no, I'm going because
Boy,
everybody else, he just had that obligation feeling, and
hundred percent.
my mother was so upset, but he got himself in, and he got the governor to make him special uniforms so
So
he
your
could
dad's
go.
a pioneer in war and in insurance, and my dad, a pioneer in war, got into a plane without a parachute. That's my litmus test. So people that won't get into a plane without a parachute, if it might get shot down, that's my litmus test. Um, but that's what you don't make it at this level. There are no excuses,
Right.
and you know,
He
I
actually became a martial artist. I'm a martial artist, but he was a martial artist in judo, and he taught judo, and that's how he changed. I don't know what they call it. I call it disciplines. What do they call it? Like he was in the Air Force, or the Marines, but they changed him to the Air Force. I mean, what do they call that? What do they call those different areas of the service?
armed forces.
Okay,
Different.
so he was in different areas of the armed services because of his expertise.
They moved him around. He was like an
Mhm.
entrepreneurial.
He was an entrepreneurial judo guy.
Right. So here I'm. Oh man, my dad's parents they escaped the pogroms of I guess what would be Kiev now, or not Kiev but Ukraine, and then they came here with nothing, speaking no English. They had 4 children. All
Hmm.
they were actually featured
I have
in that.
my little Ukraine. You can't see it here.
We're
My
separated. We're like this is
See,
the that's
that's my Ukraine ponytail thing on.
yeah. There you go. Right.
Hmm.
So I don't believe in randomness. One of the chapters in my next book is called God Winks. Like I just don't believe. I stopped believing in
God wings.
God winks, wink, wink.
Oh, winks like yeah.
It's just meant to be. And yeah, my dad and his 3 brothers, they all served actively. They were featured in many national publications because my grandma, I never met her. She died in 1973. I was born in 77, and she was 93 when she died. But she was quoted, even though she didn't really speak English, she was quoted like she was honored to send all 4 of her sons to war. She didn't have daughters.
Wow.
They were so grateful to the United States for providing all these opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they send all the siblings to war. I doubt it. But at the time they did, and like that's the level of patriotism I mean, like that's very, very high in me.
Yeah.
Military, very thankful. I mean, very thankful to military. So.
Yeah. Well, we're honored, and we honor them for serving to save our lives, right?
I mean, it's the ultimate. It's the ultimate. One of my partners, he was in Afghanistan and Iraq, and massive PTSD. His name's Greg Washington, and he had the gun after he came home. He had the gun to his head. He was about to pull the trigger, and his cousin called him. And if his cousin hadn't called him, he would have killed himself.
Wow.
So he walked last year over the summer. He walked 1,800 miles from Mississippi, where his dad is from, all the way to West Point. He went to West Point, played football there, and so we got him in a lot of media. But so honored to have partnered with him because he took this massive problem and created a solution to it. And then I asked him,
how did he do that?
Well, he walked 1,800 miles and got major media publicity for it.
There you go. Yeah.
And then I was asking him, some of the greatest things that came out of the partnership, and he said that 5 soldiers or former soldiers, I guess informers, the right word, had reached out to him, who said if they hadn't have seen him in the media, they would have committed suicide. They reached out.
Wow.
Greatest in 5 years an entrepreneur. That's the
And
number.
what war was he in?
He's about, I would guess he's about 35 years old. So he was in Afghan and Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's a little older than that. But he was severe battles and almost died in combat many times. Mm-hmm. His best friends were killed in combat.
Yeah. I was partly appointed to the VA, and I worked with a whole group of people with PTSD, and it's heavy. It's heavy.
Well, entrepreneurs, the really good, like, and I'm not talking about business owners, consultants. I'm talking about the true entrepreneurs, global entrepreneurs. I haven't met one at the very highest level, because I've seen the same patterns over and over at the very highest level. I'm not talking about small business. I'm not talking about real, and then that's most of my days talking to people like that, changing the world. So I haven't met one that hasn't overcome at least one of the following four things. Most are two or three, and then I talk to a lot of all fours. So this is what separates entrepreneurs from everyone else.
Yeah, I think we talked about this once. Tell us.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I think this will be beneficial for the audience. So
for sure,
bankruptcy or potential bankruptcy, 2, depression, 3, the highest level of anxiety you can imagine, and 4, likely and or possible traumatic experiences as a child or young adult. So most people
say it again slowly.
Yeah, sorry, I talked.
Bankruptcy, depression.
Yep, anxiety at the highest level, and then likely and or possible traumatic experiences as a child or young adult.
Bingo.
So humans, consultants, business owners, they use those as excuses their whole life. Global entrepreneur, visionary, figure it out. Execute.
It's interesting, isn't it? I've often wondered why traumatic experiences bring out such genius in people, or creativity, or whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
I've seen that pattern a lot.
You've seen it. There's two ways to go. One is you let the fear prevent you from ever doing anything, and then the people I talk to let that create some of the greatest things of all time.
Well, I write about this in my book, how illness is really a gift.
100%.
And if you look at it in that way, you will evolve beyond your wildest dreams. If you understand the metaphor of that gift. What was that gift in that illness?
Everything. It's a gift.
Why did you have to experience that?
I mean, we are so similar. So most people use them as excuses, and in this, there are no excuses at this. So anyway, I'm reading a book right now called Hero on a Mission by Donald Miller. It's really good. Okay, so it's like Man's Search for Meaning. Man's Search for Meaning is number one. I mean, that's my favorite. I mean, if that's the ultimate, right? So,
I know, right? Yeah.
It's the ultimate. And as an aside, my dad became an attorney in the Nuremberg trials.
Wow.
Yeah.
So your dad that was in the military also was an attorney.
And entrepreneur who happened to ran an insurance company. He might have known your dad. It's possible. It's not impossible. I wouldn't be surprised. So here's this book talks about there's a 3.
I often quote Viktor Frankl, actually.
Sure. Yeah. Well, then this is a dovetail to that. Here's a 3-step formula for a life of meaning. I'll do it slowly. I'm sorry I talk fast. 1, take action, creating a work or performing a deed. 2, experience something or encounter someone that you find captivating and that pulls you out of yourself. And 3, have an optimistic attitude toward the inevitable challenges and suffering you will experience in life. So most people, the challenges and suffering leads to more suffering. They don't embrace it. They don't execute. They don't take action and learn from it or create something great. People like us, you just that's the whole way you find meaning in life, is by taking action.
Right.
There's another interesting thing in here. Again, this is Hero on a Mission. And then it talks about meaning. And then meaning is not an idea to be agreed with. It is a feeling you get when you live as a hero on a mission, and it cannot be experienced without taking action and living into a story.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I guess that's what I do for people. I allow them to take action and live into a story, and then I'm doing it myself. I'm also doing it. So, right.
Yes. Yeah. No, I find that a lot of times that's how I get people to heal. And of course, it was part of my journey many, many times since as recently as like about a month ago. But anyway, but once you've done that, if you get into a situation, a crisis, it could be a health crisis, any kind of crisis, you realize you have to. It's really, and I talk about this when I talk about resilience.
Yes.
It's about flexibility.
Yes.
Flexibility is a key word in resilience.
Yes.
Because if you kind of sit back and you stay flexible,
yes,
but yet you focus on your action plan.
Yes.
What is my action plan to get out of this, to solve this, and what am I going to gain from it? And that lifts you out.
When COVID started, I posted at the time. I don't know. I might have had 45,000 followers. Now I have about 50. At the time,
on what?
Well, on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that combined. And then I posted when COVID just first started. Nobody knew what's happening. I go, this will be the greatest opportunity of all time for people with the right mindset. And that's exactly. I know people that lost their entire companies within 2 or 3 days. Okay, start another company. I mean, just start another one. I mean, what? And that happened. The conversations I'm having, it's been the greatest 2 years of their lives. Been the greatest because they had the time to create something new, and if one wasn't working, that they just okay, well, do something else.
Yeah, well, I'm doing that now, actually.
Right.
I'm closing my business in Woodland Hills, and I'm moving it to Malibu. It's not serving me, and this one will, because I figured out I couldn't make more money there, but what I can do is spend less money.
Good.
So that's what the same thing I teach people about the planet, consume less. I said, you need to apply this to your life. So that's what I'm doing.
Less is more. Yeah.
Yes. So that's part of it. But then now we're going to bring Justin in. So.
Well, thank you. Again, the purpose of my life is to be a connecting superhero for every visionary, abundance, investment mindset entrepreneur and share their stories with the world. Not their world. Their world people, I can't, because they're making excuses or looking at things as costs. I can't. And then I just, so.
Well, no, that's the other thing I've done in my last, because a lot of stuff you talk about is stuff that I said, okay, I got to do that. So in the last several years, I guess, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years, I've started connecting. I said, look, you have a lot of connections, to myself, and I've been networking so much more, and that's really helped a lot too.
Well, when you have the right mindset, it attracts the right network and creates the right opportunities. So I haven't done anything outbound or anything in years. No gimmicks, nothing. I just create value, and for people who get it, and then they create value for me, and then we just it just grows and grows and grows and grows and grows.
It's a beautiful thing.
It's amazing. It's endlessly abundant. Endlessly abundant, because when you hang out with people like you hang out with people like you, and then people like you introduce me to people like you, and then I introduce people like you to people like you, and connect you to media like you, and then so it never stops. It just never. And here's another thing. So I'm a dad who happens to be an entrepreneur. I would never let entrepreneur life destroy my family life, ever. I would just never. So I just keep making these bigger investments to be in smaller rooms, and the people in those rooms are making bigger impacts. So, 2 of the groups I'm in are, upwards of $30K a year to be in them easily, and I'd easily invest $50K a year easily. It's good investment, and so that allows me to make biggest investment in smallest room, which is my family, where I can make the most impact. So it's the same formula, and then it just allows me to be a dad who happens to be an entrepreneur, which I'm very grateful for. Very, 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 very grateful.
Yes. You're a lucky guy.
I am.
Well, that's great.
I mean, my wife, if you want to think of like the opposite of me, it's my wife. So, very grateful for her every day. That's the first thing I do every day is do a grateful journal for her. I write what I'm grateful for her.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, every single day. Yep.
That's awesome. Well, I do prayers of gratitude every morning as well. And unfortunately, I don't have a husband or a wife at this time, but you never know. I mean, I do give thanks for all the people in my life that, contribute. And so I do have a son and I have 2 grandchildren. I'm very grateful for them.
Do they live by you?
They don't. They live not too close, but not too far either. So.
Is your son a visionary like you?
In his own way, I guess, maybe. But he's more, do you know what a savant is?
Yes.
Yeah, of course you do. It's something like that, that he is, but he just loves to build things. So he's in contracting and he, he can look at a room and just look at it and tell you exactly how much paint it's going to need.
Oh my God, that's a genius.
Yeah. And then if you ask him, okay, I need to do such and such on such and such date, he'll say, well, Mom, that's a Wednesday. Like, how does anybody know that? That escapes my brain. If you tell him on, June 11th, which I'm going to have a big book soiree at my house to honor my book. And
nice.
Yeah, because we're doing really well on Amazon so far. Soul Doctoring, Heal Yourself, Heal the Planet. Go get your copy because I don't know how they're going fast. Anyway, so I'm going to do that. And I told him it's like on June 11th. He goes, well, that's a Saturday, Mom. Like, how does anybody know that?
That's how I'm with connections, but I don't know how to hold a pencil right. I'm not kidding. I don't know how to do it. So your son, the opposite of me in that. And then if my sons ask me to like tie their shoes or like put a bike helmet on, I'm like, can you please ask your mom to? I can't. Like, it's almost. And I mean, it's funny because like things a monkey can do, I can't. I mean, but like connecting and then writing stories, it's like your son with the June 11th Saturday.
So yeah, it's an interesting intelligence. It's cool.
My sons, by the way, can build stuff like your son. They love building. I mean, they're full builders and stuff. I'm like, how do you? It's amazing to me because I'm not, and my wife's not like that either. She's not at all a builder.
Yeah, I'm more of an artist type. But then to me, medicine is an art.
That's how my wife is. Medicine's an art for her. But you are an entrepreneur who happens to be in medicine. My wife is a pediatrician who happens to be a pediatrician. She like order schedules. And that's fine. That's fine. She's not. She'd be the worst entrepreneur of all time. I'd be the worst doctor of all time. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
No, I like manual stuff. I like putting things together, and I'm very good at surgery. I'm very good at anything I do with my hands.
I implement.
That I'm going to create. I love creating stuff, both, outside the box, sort of virtual like ideas, and then visually, I love creating. If you ever look at my Instagram, you'll see a lot of that.
I'll do that. So that's your opposite of me. I can't. They're Scribe Media, Tucker Max's company. They're publishing my second book. The manuscript's approved. All that stuff. The title's approved, and now they're going through the book cover process. And I'm like, I can't do this. You have to do it. I'm not visual. I don't.
See, I was the opposite because, first of all, my book cover was a vision, an actual vision that I had in a Sundance ceremony that told me I had to do this work. That told me you gotta learn these various disciplines, you gotta pull them together, and you've got to help the planet because we're headed for a wall. And that was 21 years ago. That was, or maybe 27. It was 1997. How many years ago was that?
21. 21. So that would have been 2001.
No, I mean it was in 1997 that I had the vision.
25 years ago.
Yeah, 25 years ago. So 25 years ago, I had this vision, seeing me receive the planet into my arms and then hold it. After a group of Native American elders talked about me and decided that was my soul path. So I watched that happen, and then the planet come down into my arm. So sense. That's the cover of my book. So I worked with an artist, and I described and I posed with a beach ball, and my nurse took my picture, and then we went back and forth till she got it right. And it's beautiful. She got it so perfectly.
Here, I'm looking at it now. It's beautiful. It's like elegant and it's elegant, spiritual. You ever done a sweat lodge? Native American?
Oh, many, yeah.
One. That was. I think one time I actually thought I was going to die. It was an interesting experience. This is an interesting exercise. I actually just did it this morning because I'm, curious. I was looking up the Declaration of Independence because I love the United States so much. Mm-hmm. And they talk about Native Americans in that in the most negative way, which is really nobody talks about it. Like they were using horrific words to describe them in the Declaration of Independence. And when I was a journalist, my favorite job was I was the editor of the Rapid City Journal in South Dakota, western South Dakota, and it was so sad because there were a lot of reservations in that area, and the most beautiful land with the most extreme poverty, the most extreme.
Right. Well, I've spent a lot of time on the reservations, and I started out as just a medical student, doing what's called a clerkship. And then I realized how much help they really needed medically. So,
oh God, the most.
Yeah. And then, I mean, not all of them. Some of them are in good shape. The Diné, Navajo, the Diné is called, they're called Navajo. And some of them are in good shape. But some of the ones that are associated with the gambling are in good shape these days. But still, there's a lot of poverty, a lot of addiction, a lot of problems. PTSD, post-traumatic, transgenerational PTSD. And I've always had a great deal of compassion and empathy for those people because they are the original regenerative farmers. They are the original source for the answer to our problems. If we would learn more from them about how to give back, how not to take so much that we're destroying the planet, we will be in good shape. So that's part of what I try to teach as well.
This is a great conversation. A lot of entrepreneurs like us, they don't know where they come from, so they don't know where they are, and then more importantly, they don't know where they're going. So you and I both know where we come from, our lineage. So that means we know where we are, and then we know where we're going. And then you just flipped it to, here's where we came from, or our country came from. That can help us where we are and then where we're going. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Interesting to me.
Mm-hmm. It is. And actually, in my dedication of my book, I dedicated it to those people. Because I drew a lot of their knowledge. They taught me a lot.
I just ordered your book, by the way. That's how I was.
Oh, thank you.
paperback. I got the paperback.
2501 now.
Awesome.
All right. Well, Justin, I hope we have many more conversations. This has been just delightful.
Great.
Thank you so much for joining us. And I don't know, if you're wackadoo, then I am too. And I like our club.
Yeah, I patented Visionary Wackadoo for my company. So I literally have shirts that say Visionary Wackadoo. So I trade. Not patented, trademarked. But yeah, I'm full wackadoo. But that's because people like us, we're usually aliens in our own family vertical communities, and only people that understand us are people like us. But we're the ones that will actually do something, and so I'm okay with that. And I've embraced it. I know who I am. I know who I'm not, and all that does is attract people who get it. So I'm grateful for that wackadooness.
Great. So I imagine you want people to get a hold of you. How would they do that? How would my guests?
Yeah, sure. You can you can find me on LinkedIn, Justin Breen on LinkedIn. I like LinkedIn.
That's how you do it?
Yeah, I mean, there's if you go to my first company's website, BrEpicLLC.com, there's a mindset scorecard. It takes 5 minutes.
What is it?
BrEpicLLC.com, BrEpicLLC.com, and then there's a mindset scorecard. You can take it. Because people disqualify themselves with their own mindsets.
Okay. Well, okay. So that's how we do it. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to go now, but I just can't thank you enough.
Ditto. I'm really excited.
You're amazing. Okay.
You too.
This is Dr. Gail Randall from Soul Stories, and author of Soul Doctoring, Heal Yourself, Heal the Planet. I want to thank Saltology, our sponsor, at bathsalt.com, which fits perfectly into my medicine bag as it, like me, calls upon the ancient wisdom and modern technology to heal, especially with the stresses and ills of our modern times. The BrEpic brand uses organic salts combined with organic essential oils sourced from ancient Egypt to provide a perfect remedy for your bathing ritual and healing from modern stresses. The Relief RX brand is a unique one-of-a-kind healing salt that uses organic CBD, treated with a unique emulsification process to create nanoparticles which easily enter the skin to most effectively heal and relieve aching muscles and joints. Whether from chronic inflammation or just a rough workout, this is the perfect healing bath, especially when you add the organic essential oils of neroli, lavender, eucalyptus, or grapefruit. Your body, mind, and soul will be lifted and soothed like never before. Go now to bathsalt.com. I also want to give special thanks to Larry Antonino and Agora Borealis Recording Studio for music and score, and also to closetotheearth.com for IT and computer assistance. I'm Dr. Gail Randall, creator and host of Soul Stories. I just want to thank you for listening to my podcast. I recently got a notification from the International Podcast People, and I was astounded that so many countries are listening to my podcast in the category of alternative health. So thank you, and please continue to listen. I especially want to thank Egypt, Croatia, Japan, and Switzerland, also France and Ireland, because my numbers were quite high there. So keep up the good work and check out my Instagram at Dr. Gail Randall, and particularly check out my Instagram TV, where you can hear me talking about alternative medicine subjects and also see me. It's a very good show, and I think you'll like the subjects. It's on 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time every Friday, but it's recorded there so you can find it there anytime you look. Okay, thanks again. I love you guys. Also supported by Randall Wellness Network, bringing health and wellness to you directly. Medical futurist Dr. Gail Madeleine Randall brings 40-plus years as one of America's most forward-thinking doctors, healers, and emerging authors onto a diverse media platform to empower our paths to health, wellness, increased consciousness, and vitality. Gail Madeleine Randall, MD, has long practiced, taught, and encouraged patients to take control of their healing processes and journeys. Randall Wellness Network provides a 360-degree platform for people to heal themselves, and she most emphasizes regenerative approaches for healing individuals, communities, and the planet as one. For more information, go to drgmrandall.com and Instagram at drgailrandall, and check out the robust Instagram series on Instagram TV, also Facebook, Randall Wellness, and also Dr. Gail Randall.